Welcome to Mango's Compliance Conversations, where we get experts in to talk about topics that people who follow us have asked us to talk about. And today I've got Andrew Thornhill from IRM Systems in Melbourne, who is an auditor, consultant. He also trains auditors how to be great auditors. And we have Craig from Mango. We all know who Craig is. We've been watching his blogs, listening to his series, and you can find more stuff that Craig does on our website. So today, a question that I still can't understand how people have got away with it for so long is not raising internal non-conformances. It seems that there's a mixture of I'm frightened to do because management don't like them, so it's a negative thing. Even if they're positive, they still don't want them. And when they have customer complaints, they think there's a lot of work, so they categorise these things. So if it's a major one, we'll do an investigation. If it's a minor one, we might just monitor. And if it's a really low level, we don't even record it. But we know it because it's impossible not to have non-conformances in a business or a manufacturing environment. There's always something that goes wrong. When you go and audit and you say, hey, let's look at your non-conformance process or your corrective action or your improvement process or whatever the company calls them, and you get to the register and there's nothing on it. Do you sort of go, oh, I've met the most amazing company in the world, no mistakes, you have all the happiest clients? Or do you sort of go, there's something wrong here?
To be honest, as someone who does external audits, it's a little bit of a red flag that if you're being presented with an overly rosy picture, it's a bit of a red flag to what's actually happened, why aren't things being reported, and there are questioning techniques and questions you can ask to sort of dig below the surface there. I mean, an obvious one would be to go and talk to some of the operational staff and ask them if they know what is classified as an improvement and do they know how to report that within a business, would be a starting point as an external auditor.
Maybe tripping over the quarantine area on the way to the meeting helps as well.
That's right. Yeah. The broader question as to why organisations do this, I'll add one point. If it's ever linked to kind of executive KPIs or used to as a measure of performance, or or it's seen as poor performance to put something in there, then really it's no result that not much is raised. You know, if that's the culture that we shame and blame people when, raise an issue, then of course at an operational level, even at a management level, they become reticent to raise things. It really comes back to probably looking at ourselves as an organisation and our culture. How do we treat people if they honestly raise something?
It frustrated me greatly when I'd turn up and I'd say, show us your customer complaints for the year, and they'd show me nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's a red flag. This company's certification's at risk here, because I could see, internally, you may have wandered around and seen some internal issues that sort of strike you in the face.
Particularly when it's a quality audit, because the whole focus is on being a customer-focused organisation.
So. That's right. It is a real red flag. It is indicative of some sort of cultural issues preventing people from reporting things. And if people are reporting things and maybe being blamed for them, then it's like, well, why should I report the next one if I'm going to get the blame? So it's really quite a strong red flag that systems aren't good, the processes aren't good. There needs to be some serious discussions at a senior management level.
Yeah, and that's a red flag because it'd be extremely unlikely that that's the case. Every organisation gets some customer feedback and complaints, so it's almost, the red flag is it feels like they're managing those issues off the book, so to speak, out of the system.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't mean they don't exist. Sometimes the other barrier, and I think Peter mentioned it in the introduction a little bit as well, is you do see organisations, if they've almost categorised it, if it falls into this category, customer complaint, if that's going to create a whole lot more work for me, that's where there's also that bit of a tendency to, I'll just put it the level below that so I don't have to go into all that extra investigation and workload, and you end up in that situation where the production team are kind of managing that. They're doing something about it, but they're just kind of managing it out of the formal system.
Because the place that I was a quality manager for, we don't give these customer complaints, is what we call them, is where it was a product and it was incorrectly sent out, the customer sent it back, we sent the right one, so it was a charge-recharge situation, and it might have only been like $5 or $6 dollars. So they said, no, categorise that as nothing. And I said, no, that's wrong, is that we've done something wrong. So we don't need to go into full investigation, but why don't we capture those as data points so that we can see? And suddenly these little $5 things, there was like 600 of them. And from that, then we said, well, okay, there is something wrong in our process. That we're creating too many of these. Human nature is human nature. You make mistakes. We understand that, but there was just so many. So that enabled us to say, right, let's get a quality team together. And in those days, the quality department was me, so I was the team. And we looked at them, and then we started to actually filter the data down. And something that came up really quick was a particular person in customer service that had been keying in the part numbers wrong. We said, right, well, there's something wrong just in this area. So we observed this person doing data entry and realised that she was coding things wrong. Right. We asked her to read back the number, and she was reading it back what was supposed to be done, but coding it in wrong. And it turns out that she needed glasses. As soon as we said, hey, wait a minute, but look, you've said this, you've read it from here, but you're typing in that there. And she goes, I didn't realise, because that sort of thing just goes over time. But was creating these 600 data points, which might only be $5 or $10, but it was adding up. Sent her off, got new glasses, problem gone. But what the other side that people don't realise is that because she was doing these credit recharges for $5, the customer wasn't paying the main invoice because they were waiting for the credit of $5, and the order might have been $20. So another part of the business was being disadvantaged, as in they were trying to collect money, and they say, I'm not collecting them, we're not paying you until you get these credit recharges done. So as soon as we fixed up that fixed up that, cash flow improved, and everyone was happy.
It's a good example, because if people, at the end of the day, if they don't, or they feel concerned about reporting things, we miss the learning opportunity, and we've got a risk there that's not addressed, and those kind of things can just keep occurring.
One of the easiest ways, like you say, Peter, one of the easiest ways to record these things is every credit has to have a non-conformance associated with it, whether it's a wrong invoice or there's a delivery problem, particularly obviously for quality. That's an easy way to capture internal non-conformances. So that's a rule you should put in right away if you've got a quality system. Is any credit that gets processed must have a non-conformance attached to it, so that you can capture these data points and actually make meaningful improvements. So, environmental issues as well. We had this little spill. We quickly cleaned it up. Let's not record that. It's just something that that happens all the time. But we just sort of we cleaned it up pretty quickly. It's not really an issue. Those things annoy me as well.
Same with near misses. If you've got a culture where people don't report this, they don't report that, then there's a near miss, and they go, I won't report that, and there's a lesson. A learning opportunity missed. So it starts to create that sort of culture within a company when we don't do it if it's this. We'll only do it if it's this.
And look, to be honest, in safety in Australia, there's probably a bigger issue than we can cover now, but we see another level there, particularly in some heavy industries where subcontractors they have, and we know when we tender for the next job, that they'll be looking at our incident rates, near miss rates, LTI rates. It immediately creates unfortunately, this incentive not to be open about those kind of things as well at an organisational level, and that's probably a bigger issue than we can cover now, but it's sort of the same kind of issue in a way. It's a disincentive to being open about the issues you need to report.
Okay, thanks guys. So that was Mango's Compliance Conversations for this week, and we look forward to you attending the next one. Thank you.